What's going on, guys? Care of Your Reptiles here. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share as it really helps the channel out with the algorithm. I really appreciate it. Today's question of the day is, can snakes love you, or can snakes have affection or emotion? And I say yes. Now that I've been keeping snakes for a while, I can definitely see that they can feel emotionally and physically. But if you ask the general public, I feel like everybody's gonna say no. All snakes hate you. The goal is to eat and not get eaten, aka the fight or flight mode. But I definitely feel if they can, have that mental capacity to know that, whether a predator or prey is near, or if they're supposed to be the predator or prey, I definitely feel that they can have a sense of recognition. I feel like they can definitely associate us with something positive. We just have to look at it differently versus like a dog or cat. Like a dog, you go to work for 8 hours, you come home, your dog is going to greet you at the door, excited to meet you just because he's missed you all day. And they can visually show you that. I feel like same thing with the cat. You pet a cat, or you hold them and they'll purr, let you know that they're content. Snakes don't really have anything like that. They don't have the facial expressions to show. They don't have the verbalization to physically tell you that they're happy to see you or anything like that. So I feel like it's just gonna take some very strong studying of our animals personally to know them exactly. Again, general public, I feel like everybody's gonna say no, but now that I've been keeping snakes for a minute, I feel like they definitely have a sense of emotion towards their handlers. Definitely. I don't think everything with them is a negative aspect to where, like the rap that they get for being aggressive, specifically the blood pythons. I gave a story about Brock where when I first got him, he came in a tub. I picked him up maybe about 15-20 minutes away. And he came in this tub, and the guy that I got him from had only had him for one day because somebody else took Brock to him. And I was like, is this the tub that he's in? Was this just a travel tub, or was this a tub that he was living in? Come to find out, Brock was living in that tub. It was like the substrate was like a coconut core, like very fine, but there was a lot of water in it, so it made it pretty muddy. So he had a big clear water dish that was sitting on top, like directly on top of him, and he didn't even have any room to move around. So when I got him home and I started to pull him out, immediately when I pulled his top off of the tub, he started hissing. He put his head up above the substrate and he started hissing, throwing bluffs. He was puffing up. So I was like, you know what? Since Brock was my first blood, my mindset was like stuck on, okay, what did I just get myself into? Am I going to be able to safely remove this snake from the tub to put him in this nice 4x2x2 enclosure? So about 5 minutes go by, and I'm just simply rubbing him like this. And after about 5 minutes, he had completely went silent. Now, I didn't stop rubbing him. I'm still rubbing him, but he went silent. He wasn't huffing, he wasn't hissing, he didn't puff up. So I'm like, okay, he's silent now. He's used to me rubbing him. So before, he was very anxious. He was very defensive. He didn't know what was going on. He might have even been scared. So, and he was vocalizing that. He was being verbal. He was letting me know, like, hey, I'm not myself right now. I'm not content. I'm in a very different environment. Something strange. I'm not okay. He was letting me know that. But the more I just did this, he eventually went silent. So since he did go silent, I was like, you know what? I was going to try to find something to remove him instead of me grabbing him with my hands. Like I tell all new keepers with blood pythons, just because they do get the rap of being spicy. Again, I don't feel it's true at all, but just because that stereotype is there, expect to get bit. And that's by any snake that you get. Expect to get bit regardless. Whether or not you know your snake and you're like, okay, my snake would never bite me, expect it at all times. So I did have that expectation. I was like, okay, I'm expecting him to bite me. In my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get bit. So I'm like, just suck it up, grab him out of there. Now he was super dirty. So before I grabbed him out after I stopped calming him down, I went to go get some clean warm water. You don't want to soak him in cold water. It was about 82 degrees, the water, and I brought that to him. And I removed him because I wanted to clean him up again. I'm like, I'm not going to put him in this enclosure and he's this dirty. That just didn't make any sense. So I soaked him. He didn't seem to like being soaked. I'm like, you're coming from water. Like, he was literally in water. It might as well just been water. Like, dirty water. Forget substrate. It might as well just been dirty water. I'm like, you're coming from water into cleaner water. But he didn't seem to like that. But of course, he was being moved in a unusual environment to him, so that was expected. But he didn't seem to like it. But after about 30 seconds, he chilled out. He kind of seemed to realize what was going on, and he started swimming around in the water, getting everything off of him. And I went on ahead. I pulled him out of that, sat him on a towel. Again, no hisses, no puff ups, nothing. He was perfectly fine. Sat him on a towel. Went to go switch out the water because it was dirty, and he still had just a little bit of stuff on him. So switched out the water, soaked him again, and now he's perfectly fine. And I put him in his enclosure. I left him alone for maybe five or 6 days, and then I offered him a meal. I let him digest, and then 2 days after he had that meal, I went to handle him. So at this point, 7 to 8 days had passed, no handling, nothing like that. So when I went to handle him, he hissed just a little, not as much as he did when he first got there. So I was like, okay, it's not a huge step in progress, but we're making progress. So that happened. He hissed just a little. So I'm like, okay, this is what's supposed to happen. This is going to happen. I'm going to handle you regardless. So I picked him up. And he was a bit jerky, like he was trying to figure out what was going on, stuff like that. But it was a very fine handling session. He didn't strike. First and foremost, he did not strike at all. But I didn't want to keep him out too long, just because I didn't want to stress him out. Again, 7-8 days had passed, no handling. He had 8, so that was good. But I just didn't want to stress him out more than what he already was. So over the course of, I want to say 3 days, I think it was maybe 3 days straight, I was just going in and handling him every day. And by the 4th day, there was no hisses, there was no bluffs being thrown, anything like that. Like, I can go grab him now, and like, he knows that he'll hear his doors open. And like, a lot of times he'll even peek his head up above the substrate himself and realize, like, okay, it's time to get handled. And he's not hissing at all. So the fact that day 1, I had a very anxious, nervous, possibly scared, defensive snake on my hands. Those are all emotions. Point blank, those are all emotions. To a very content snake that, the word I hear all the time is they're very tolerant of us. But I have done choice-based handling with him, where I open his enclosure and I give him the choice to where either he comes out for handling or he stays in there and does his thing. Most of the time, he'll stay in there and do his thing. But there's been 5 or 6 times where I've opened his enclosure and he came out on his own. That isn't tolerant. Tolerant is where we're just grabbing them out and, they're just accepting us for what we're doing with them. He came out on his own for handling. That is, I see that as a sign of, him being want to handle, just because I gave him that choice. So the fact that these guys have the mental capacity to make the decisions on their own, I feel like they wouldn't even be able to survive if they didn't have emotions. So I feel like that's another stereotype that should just be thrown out the window. These guys definitely have emotions. They can think for themselves. They can make decisions, smart decisions at that. Again, I even give them room to make decisions in their enclosures. So on the left side, I keep that, like the temps, I keep that between 82 to 85 degrees. The pool side, I keep that between 74 and 77 degrees. If the 82 to 85 is getting a bit warm for them, they'll make the decision to go on the other side where it's cooler. If that's a bit cool for them and they want to heat up, they'll make the decision and go back to the warm side to heat up. I kind of give these guys to make a lot of decisions on their own. But the fact that they can, these guys definitely have emotions. And you guys can do some stuff at home. I know choice-based handling is very popular with, excuse me. I know choice-based handling is very popular with ball pythons, definitely. So if you've got ball pythons, they're very active at night. My girlfriend, she has a ball python, his name is Loki, and he is very active at night. So one theory I would test is at nighttime, instead of handling during the day, I know a lot of you guys handle during the day, wait till nighttime to handle. Wait till about 30 minutes to an hour after you've turned the lights out in your enclosure. And you'll notice that your snake is, being active. Open their enclosure, kind of sit in front of it, and I would say leave the doors open. And if they come out, go ahead and let them crawl onto you. That is giving them the choice to be handled. If they don't, that just means they don't want to be messed with, but they're getting used to you in their presence since you are sitting in front of their enclosure with the doors open. But if they come out, you're giving them the opportunity to make that choice themselves. So again, I definitely believe these guys have emotions. Go ahead, test some theories at home. Comment below, let me know how everything went. And at the end of the day, take care of your reptiles.